Hello and welcome back. In this session, I just wanted to take a little bit of time to have a look at ACCA versus CIMA because I know a lot of you new guys out there who are trying to choose what qualification to go for, need to know the differences, don't know the differences at the minute, and this video just seeks to say, right, when should you do ACCA, when should you do CIMA, and what are the differences? So, I will say that you should do ACCA if you love numbers, analysis, and preparing accounts. Now, that's not to say you don't do numbers and analysis in CIMA, but you don't do full preparation of accounts in CIMA because you do short form questions. Whereas ACCA, you get longer form questions with much more detailed analysis and preparation of accounts. Now, the CIMA case studies do have analysis, they do have numbers, but they don't have the preparation of accounts, and I would argue they're not quite as detailed as some of the ACCA level qualification questions, particularly at the professional level. So do ACCA if you love really long, detailed analysis with preparation of accounts. If you want to work in an accountancy practice or you're training in an accountancy practice, preparing accounts or auditing, well then you should do ACCA. CIMA really won't prepare you to do this. It doesn't have enough accounts prep, it doesn't have enough audit, and related to my next point, if you want to work in tax or learn about tax, you need to do ACCA because CIMA has a little bit about tax right at the start of the qualification, but it's really not very much, not enough certainly to work in tax or to learn really much about it. So if you're interested in tax, long preparation of accounts or audit, well then CIMA is not going to cover those bases. Also, if you want a very strong grounding in financial accounts, then ACCA is the way to go. CIMA does cover financial accounts, they do look at IFRS, but it's in nowhere near the level of detail as the ACCA, and you won't get the same grounding in financial accounts if you do CIMA. Lastly, if you still want to do your exams on paper, you can still, at this point in time, do your ACCA exams on paper, most of them. You do have the option to sit some of them on the computer, and some of them you can only sit on the computer at the start of the qualification. But what I'm saying is there are still some options to sit your exams on paper, whereas CIMA is all now fully computer based for your exams. So that's when you need to do ACCA. So when do you do CIMA then? Well, you should do CIMA if you want to focus on management accounts. CIMA is about management accounts. Now, as I've said, they do touch on those areas, particularly financial accounts. You do quite a bit on financial accounts, not to the same level as the ACCA, but you do look at it. Whereas CIMA focus much more heavily on management accounts than the ACCA, and they do have that strategic level, which gives you that strategic focus on management accounts. Again, if you don't want to do tax, you don't like it, if you don't want to do audit or don't like that, well then CIMA may well be the qualification for you because you're not going to be doing a lot of tax, you're not going to be doing a lot of audit, you're going to be looking more at management accounts and financial management. Also, if you are really good at learning fine details, then this is the qualification for you because they now have these objective test questions for most of the qualification. Now, what those are is it's basically multiple choice, but there are some certain different types of question that really focus in on the details. If you are someone that prefers to know a topic generally and then discuss it in the exam setting, well then this is not the qualification for you. CIMA, at each level, you need to know the details inside out, upside down. You need to know each and every little bit of the syllabus, because each and every little bit will be examined in the objective test questions. Now, there is some of that on the ACCA, but not as much. So if you're good at learning fine details, you've got a good memory for that sort of thing, then CIMA may well suit you. Now, you do have the case study exams as well, which then bring that learning together and test it in a more discussion-based setting, but you do have to first of all know those fine details. If you don't see yourself in a financial analyst or financial accounting role, well then again, CIMA could be for you, because as I've said before, it doesn't focus in so much on the financial accounts. But if you are looking towards management accounts or strategic management, well then CIMA could well be the qualification that suits you best. If you're maybe looking at an operations role with some management accounts, then CIMA is the sort of qualification you should perhaps look at. And lastly, if you want to sit your exams on a computer and on demand, then again, this is the qualification for you. It is much more flexible. You sit all the computer or the exams on a computer. Most of them are on demand. There are some windows for the case study, but by and large, it's pretty much on demand. So it is very flexible, and it does suit a lot of people because you're not stuck within that inflexible timetable for exams. So look, hopefully that gives you a broad overview of whether ACCA or CIMA will suit you and where you see yourself in terms of your job role. What you need to do now then is, once you've looked at broadly which of these suits you, then look in detail as to whether the syllabus is going to suit you, whether the structure of the qualification and the cost of the qualification is going to suit you. And the best way to do that is to go to their website and really investigate all of those issues. They have plenty of information on there, so it shouldn't be a problem.